Rain poured relentlessly as Lucas trudged down a dark, glistening city street, his hoodie soaked and his daughter's small hand tightly wrapped in his. After another exhausting night shift at the diner, all he wanted was to get home and dry. But fate had other plans. As they reached the intersection, a sharp screech of tires tore through the quiet night. A black SUV, out of control on the slick pavement, spun wildly toward the crosswalk. Without a second thought, Lucas shoved his daughter back and sprinted forward. A woman, dressed in a tailored coat, her high heels no match for the rain, stood frozen in the vehicle's path. Lucas tackled her just in time, rolling them both to safety as the SUV smashed into a lamppost inches from where she'd been standing. Breathing heavily, soaked and shaking, the woman looked at him in disbelief. Her eyes wide, her voice cracked as she whispered, "You saved my life." Lucas nodded, already turning to check on his daughter, who peeked from behind a mailbox, unharmed. The woman remained on the wet pavement, staring after him, stunned, not just by the narrow escape, but by the stranger who risked everything without hesitation. She had no idea who he was, but something about the way he picked up his child, gently tucking her into his arms with practiced care, stirred something in her. This man, this stranger in a soaked hoodie, had just become the most important person in her life. The next morning, a knock echoed through the quiet, worn hallway of a small apartment complex. Lucas opened the door, surprised to see the woman he had saved, now dressed casually but unmistakably poised. Ava Montgomery, one of the city's most influential tech CEOs, stood there with a bouquet in one hand and curiosity in her eyes. "I had to find you," she said simply. Inside, the apartment was small but filled with warmth. Drawings taped to the fridge, books stacked on shelves, and the smell of something cooking. Ava watched, stunned, as Lucas carefully flipped a pancake, using a clothes iron and a metal tray. His daughter giggled nearby, sitting cross-legged on the couch with a coloring book. Ava glanced around. The walls needed paint, the furniture was second-hand, but there was joy in the room, something she hadn't felt in her own penthouse in years. "You're raising her, like this?" she asked, more from wonder than judgment. Lucas gave a soft smile as he plated the pancake and handed it to his daughter. "We have each other. That's more than enough." Ava didn't know what to say. In her world of luxury and ambition, she had never seen such quiet dignity. The man who saved her life wasn't just brave, he was rich in something money couldn't buy. And for the first time in a long while, she felt humbled. The sun filtered softly through the trees as Ava and Lucas sat on a bench overlooking the city park, just a block from her towering office. Children played nearby, their laughter drifting on the breeze. Lucas watched them with quiet eyes, his hands resting on his knees. Ava handed him a coffee, breaking the silence. "You could have just walked away that night. Why didn't you?" Lucas gave a modest shrug. "I didn't think. I just saw someone in danger. I'd hoped someone would do the same for my daughter." She studied him, this man who seemed to carry the weight of the world with such grace. After a moment, she asked him more about his life. Hesitant at first, Lucas eventually opened up. He told her how he once worked as an electrical engineer, loved his job, had plans, until everything changed. His wife passed suddenly, and the world became a blur. Faced with the choice between his career and raising his daughter, he chose her. "I couldn't bear the thought of her growing up without someone there every day," he said softly. "So I took whatever work I could. Anything to keep us together." Ava turned away for a moment, blinking fast. The woman who had spent her life chasing boardroom victories felt something unravel in her chest. "You left your dreams, to protect hers," she whispered, more to herself than him. She had built empires, but in Lucas, she saw something rarer. She saw a man who gave up everything, and still won where it mattered most. The polished glass doors of Montgomery Innovations slid open as Lucas stepped inside, looking out of place in his borrowed blazer and worn shoes. The receptionist smiled and led him up to the top floor. He didn't understand why Ava had called him in, only that she said it was important. He entered the boardroom slowly, his heart pounding. The space was sleek and modern, with city views stretching endlessly behind Ava, who stood waiting at the head of the table. "Lucas," she said warmly, motioning for him to sit. "Thank you for coming." Confused but curious, he took the seat across from her. She didn't waste time. "I've thought a lot about what you said, about what you gave up. And I realized, we don't just need brilliance here. We need people with soul, with courage. We need someone who leads with heart." She slid a crisp folder across the table. Lucas opened it slowly. Inside, an offer letter. Lead engineer. Competitive salary. Flexible hours. Full benefits. Remote work available. A note scribbled in Ava's handwriting read, "Family comes first." Lucas stared at it, frozen. This must be a mistake." Ava shook her head, her voice steady. "No mistake. You saved my life, Lucas. But more than that, you reminded me what leadership really means." For the first time in years, Lucas felt seen, not as a survivor, not as a struggling dad, but as a man worthy of trust, of opportunity. His hands trembled as he looked up. "Thank you," he whispered. The morning sun bathed the schoolyard in golden light as Lucas walked hand in hand with his daughter, both smiling, both dressed a little brighter than before. She clutched a new backpack, her eyes wide with excitement. He knelt to adjust her coat, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "You've got this." From across the street, Ava watched quietly, leaning against her car. She had made it a habit to check in from afar, not out of obligation, but out of respect. Lucas didn't just take the job, he brought heart and integrity to every project, quickly becoming the kind of leader her company never knew it needed. But it was the changes in herself that surprised her most. She had started a new initiative: scholarships, childcare support, and job flexibility for single parents. Something no one in her industry had thought to do. Later that week, during a board meeting, a question came up: why the sudden shift in company culture? Ava stood, looking around the room filled with suits and strategy. "He saved my life that night," she said, her voice unwavering. "But he changed it forever with how he lived his." No one spoke. They didn't need to. Back at the school gates, Lucas gave his daughter a wave as she ran inside. For the first time in a long time, life didn't feel like survival, it felt like hope. A new chapter had begun, not just for them, but for everyone touched by his quiet, unwavering strength.